Welcome everybody. So today we are here to discuss about certain success stories of payment recoveries. And before that, let's have the introduction of the Federation of Business Ambassadors. I'll share the screen so that I can pull up the brochure. And then I need to minimize this because this is going to create some problem, I believe. Right, floating meeting controls. All right. So we are here today, and let me see how it shows on the YouTube. I believe it's good. I can actually make it. Okay. So let's start with the introduction of the Federation of Buying Agents, which we have now changed to Federation of Business Ambassadors. I'll tell you why we call it a Federation of Business Ambassadors. And our tagline is "We are better together." The federation members, called the FPA members, are service providers engaged by the global brands and retailers to source various product categories from India. Especially, I'm going to come back on that category wise, but primarily apparel, jewelry, furniture, home decor, furnishing, and lifestyle products. Primarily, the product which you see at home or something to wear, outdoor, and labor intensive. We're going to bring that subject later on. Now, what do the Federation of Business Ambassadors or Buying Agents members do? They expose the manufacturers of India. So once you are serving a customer, an overseas customer, which is primarily from the developed side of the world, which is US, North America, US, Canada, UK, Europe, or Australia, or maybe even New Zealand, South Africa, I would treat them as potential clients. And these people have private label sourcing. We call it like buying from overseas countries. And China, India, Vietnam, Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, they are primarily the sourcing businesses, apart from the Far East, Eastern Europe. Now, when you are in India, to buy a product, especially a labor intensive product, there are a lot of inconsistencies. And since we are going to serve the people of those countries as clients, we must have a very thorough knowledge of the manufacturing side. And that's how we create the exposure for the manufacturers. Because if I am looking at my 30 plus years of career, probably I must have touched upon close to 80,000 exporters, probably worked with 2,000 of them directly. And once you are so thorough and once you have so many years of experience, you carry that knowledge in the room when the buyer is there and they are asking you a question about what I can bring from India. And then the whole thing starts. We are creating exposure. That's why you mentioned exposure as the first one. And then we have carry the engagement. So buying agents primarily are not the people who would be just having a handshake of a factory with a buyer or a middleman, which is creating a business for a buyer and a factory. No, a job starts when actually the business production and PO starts. So all that operation, that's why Federation and FBA always believed that we are not middlemen. We are not the agent in definition, which the Indian law defines us to be. That since you're getting paid because of a business happening between two people, that why you're agent. So no, we are giving a bouquet of services to the client to make sure that the business which has been generated or given or handed over to factory is delivered with good quality, timely shipment schedule, and consistently over the years and years and years. The price stability, uh, proactiveness in getting the shipments out, uh, fighting with the odds or situations like festivals or floods or something like that. We make sure that we are working for the buyer. So we are the representative of the customer, and the entire thing becomes our engagement, that we involve with the manufacturer to make sure that they're not really messing up anywhere. And if they are messing up, is it really their fault? Or can we do something? Or can we inform the customer? So deep engagement with a bouquet of services of product sourcing, factory selection, negotiations, product development, purchase orders, and quality controls, quality systems, logistics, finance, making sure that everything is going right is all about engagement. Now, when we have doing all this, we have the exposure, we have the knowledge, and we are also engaged in the operations. We primarily become an influencer. And that's why the third circle, which you say influence, comes in picture. Influence in the sense that if I am with a customer in his office or in his country or anywhere in the world, maybe ideal example would be I am going to Canton as a speaker with e-commerce sellers, and I am an India expert. They call me the India expert. When I am with these people who are primarily focused on buying from China, some of them might also be buying from China. That's why they're going to Canton after 3 years or 4 years. I will create an influence on them so that they can look at India as an alternate sourcing country. I know India is not the second one. I'm not in favor of China plus one. I don't think China plus one is something. It's just a myth. It's just a marketing term, because as soon as you leave China, the best thing which a buyer if I'm in their place, I will also do the same thing. I'll try and source somewhere near. I will not go as far as China like India to be again in hands in factories where literally is more difficult to do business rather than in China. But yes, if we do have a presence, and that's where we create an influence on the customer, that if you would like to do something in India and this is your buying pattern and this is what you intend to start with, why India should also be in your map, why you should also explore India. And that's how we influence the buyer to look at. And I want to talk about how do we influence. We invite customers and we are paying a lot of travel incentives for them to be in India. We'll talk about that later in the presentation. And then once we influence, we have the knowledge and exposure, we are engaged with the factories. Primarily, we advocate that why India is better than any other country, why you should be buying a product which is maybe you're buying from other countries, including China. Maybe we can compete better and give you better terms in terms of quantities, in terms of quality, in terms of timely delivery, in terms of whatever you're feeling bad in China, you should try India. And we become an advocate of the industry, not only the business which flows to us as buying agents, as representative of the customer, but eventually we are not the manufacturers. So the business will flow eventually to a manufacturer exporter. And that is how we primarily become an advocate of the manufacturing in India. So we are not asking buyers to involve themselves in terms of the uh, collaboration investment, but we are in a way influencing them and advocating to buy make in India product or made in India product. And that's why we definitely believe that we are majorly advocating the made in India product and cross sell across different segments. When we say cross sell across different segments, that means if a buying agent is meeting a buyer, they're not looking at only one product, because I'm not a manufacturer of one product. I'm looking at, for example, for one client, I'm managing 80 factories. So that means close to around 8 or 10 different category of product. So when a customer is meeting us, he's not looking at us from one product side, maybe home furnishing or maybe lighting, but I am looking at the holistic whole of the business with different product categories. And that's why I say cross sell across different segments. That's the meaning. And of course, the impact which we bring is, first of all, if they hire us, they're paying us a survey fee in dollars, so we are doing a service export. Now when they are paying us, they're paying us to get some manufacturing managed in India. And when we say managed, that means we're supervising, we're doing all the services for the buyer, we're making sure the factory is doing the job. But eventually the business is flowing where? The business is flowing to a factory. They have their export going up because we brought the buyer away from China or other countries to buy from Indian factories. So we are definitely very impactful in terms of, if you look at the government side, we are basically creating not forex not only from our business, we are also ensuring that we are getting a lot of forex for our exporters. So it's like a double engine, it's like a double sword which we operate, and we bring so much value in the whole supply chain. All right. So this was something about definition of what the business ambassadors are or buying agents are, and that's why when we say all the five circles of terms which we used in the last slide, we call us buying agents as the business ambassadors, because we represent multiple product categories and we creating work for multiple manufacturers and scores of artisans associated with them. This slide is a little bit of confusing maybe, but if you look at all the terms, networking, working together, collaborations, public relations, and in between you have all the products: gems and jewelry, textile and apparel, home decor and lifestyle, furniture and furnishing, leather. This is just a small list of product which we deal. If you look at the below on the slide, you'll see a lot of export council logos, and these are directly related councils which get their members get directly business when we are bringing buyers to India. And hence we say that out of 22, close to 16 export councils are directly benefiting or get affected if we fail or if we bring a business to India. Something to do with the India numbers. When you say worldwide, I would say in India, buying agents represent almost 70% of the international trade that happens in the labor-intensive sectors. And our service providers, it may not be like same in China or Vietnam or Sri Lanka or Bangladesh, but in India, yes, definitely 7 out of 10 people would require or they will be using a buying agent, a sourcing consultant for their operations in India. Let's talk about the 3G principles. And this will bring us to what activities FBA does. 3G is means the growth, generate business opportunities, and managing grievances. When we say growth, growth is of the business which our members are doing. They might be startups, they might be established buying agencies, they have issues, they have contract, they have employees, they have vendor management. They have a lot of nitty-gritty of operating their business. There might be some challenges which they would require our help, our advice. And that is where we are always there to grow their business, to make sure that they're not in losses, they're not basically confused or lost because they could not find a good business solution to the problem they're facing to grow their business. And that is why the whole gamut, the mentoring process, the historically, I can tell you in the last 5 years, we have majorly new buying agents joining the federation because the kind of handholding they get with us, the kind of input and resources they get at the federation are humongous. They feel secure, they feel motivated, and eventually they start getting some business, and then the journey starts. So that is all about the growth. Now, generating business opportunities. When we say generating business opportunities, we are ensuring that any customer which is touching base with the federation, whether it's the hosted buyer program or whether it's a business delegation of the buying agent going overseas, customer should understand that they're meeting buying agents, service providers, sourcing consultants. They are not meeting a manufacturer, they're not meeting a factory. And they should be in the room to make sure that if they don't understand what we do, They should be able to understand, and if they like the way we operate, they should be hiring one of our members. So we have hosted by a program. It's a huge success with us. In the last 5 years, we have done many such programs. Recently, we did in August in India, where we actually up the quality now, and we are including the flights tickets to the buyers to come to India and work with sourcing agents. So hosted by program, we're going to talk about that. You can see a lot of videos on hosted by program on my YouTube channel, which primarily is that we bring buyers to meet buying agents and exporters. And we pay for their travel, international travel from their home all the way to India and go back to home, airport transfers, car, food, 3 days of business, 3 days of sightseeing, and a lot of other stuff. They only take out their wallets or credit cards for shopping or something which they require personally. Otherwise, anything to do with business, we take care of them for the next 6 days or 7 days, 6 nights, 7 days they are here in India. So that is one thing. We also do vendor connect program where we generate a lot of opportunities of looking at new factories, new avenues. We take virtual factory tours. We also take physical factory tours of the buying agents. And the third, which is the grievances part. The grievances is impactful for Federation. In the last 5 years, we have solved hundreds of cases where payment recoveries were there, where cargo damage was there, where there were dispute between buying agents. We have been able to manage, and especially with the cargo damage and international payment recovery process, we have lawyers in 86 plus countries now, where we can get hold of a local expert lawyer to fight our case and get the recovery done, whether it's cargo damage with the carriers or it's the payment recovery. And this is exactly what we're going to discuss in today's. I'll give you two cases today, which are successful, and how did we manage to get them recoveries. And this legal desk is completely free of cost with the legal fee. So you don't pay a legal fee until you get recoveries done. You only pay a small $50 administrative charge so that we can get all these things sorted out, your evidences, your emails, everything, your filing on the process. Lawyer doesn't charge you a penny until they get you the recovery. And our success rate so far has been 60% of the cases have been solved. 30% has been really a mess, so we have dropped them, and 10% is like we said, no, it is not even worth looking at it. So we'll talk about more in some other videos. And so MBA, in how do FBA interacts, like to generate or to grow the business or to manage grievances? We have corner meetings, we have monthly meetings, we have interactions among all our members across different platforms, different areas. I'll show you certain slides of the past events. These are certain photos from the overseas delegation which we took. And these are certain initiatives. As I mentioned, the recent initiative was the hosted web program on 17th of August at IML Expo Mart, where we had 25 people as exporters displaying. We had 18 buying agents visiting the fair, and we had invited a very big influencer from US, which will be sending us e-commerce sellers across different programs to source and meet with buying agents. So these are all the pictures of various initiatives which we have taken so far. This will be also available on the YouTube to look at the presentation in deep. These are certain things which we have done so far. These are all past events. We had, I must mention, we had these meetings done before the COVID, which I called the great pause. And then after the great pause, we really took a pause, and now we are coming up with the hosted buyer program with a big bang, and we tell them, the buyers, that we are also paying the flight tickets for you to come to India. To Poland also. We have a lot of memories of what we have done so far. It's just a snapshot. So this is the category of product which we focus on. And on top, you'll see apparel, automotive, floor coverings, cosmetics, fashion accessories, furnishings, furniture and lighting, gift and accessories, hand tool, home decor, houseware, jewelry and accessories, leather bags and cases, leather footwear, leatherware and accessories, marble and stoneware, paper and stationery, rubber components, spices, tea, packaged food, textiles, toys and games. This is just a small, broader category, I would say. When we made the presentation 5 years back, I think we have to add certain more category we are now doing and managing business for overseas buyers, we would close to go to 30 now from these 18 categories. And again, some memories. And yes, so this is what we are. Let me give you at the end the meaning of a logo. It basically each star which you see it depicts each buying agent. The hands which you see represent the industry support which catapults us in the sky and allow us to leap big. And from a distance, they also look as a pair of doves, ushering in harmony and bringing in aspiration to rise above and fly freely. And that's why we are better together. So join us and be part of the journey. Our Ideation Desk would love to hear from you. We have a website. You can also reach out to us on WhatsApp, Telegram, LinkedIn, Meetup, Facebook. We're all there. Okay, so I'm going to stop my screen share and let's talk about some payment recoveries. I had a call today with a customer, which eventually was not a customer for Federation in the legal desk. He called me because somebody referred us, I think 2 months back. And he called me to say that he's stuck with the payment. And when I was talking to him, I was discussing the case. This person is a regular supplier to a company in Europe. They started working with him in 2019. They took shipments from him in 2020, and then after that they had a small pause, and after that they came back in 2022. The last shipment which went was for 84,000 euros, and the payment did not come. He had 30 days net credit, and after 30 days, when he started following up, after a few weeks, they said, "Oh, we have already paid you, and here is the bank transfer advice for your payment." When he closely looked at it, because the payment was not with him, he saw that there is a same exporter company name, but the bank account is open in Italy. And he immediately responded back to them that this is not my account. This is not my company. You have paid somebody else. So I require that money to be in my account. And that is how the whole payment default and payment dispute started to rise, because the buyer said, I've already paid. And this is email came from you. And that's why we changed the bank. The most important part in the whole discussion was that he was an existing customer and he couldn't afford to lose him. And he has 35,000 euros of shipment lying in Mumbai to fly in 2 days. And then he had $19,000 of back orders in the factory which were ready to ship, all packed. So in fact, his total loss would have been 84,000 plus 35,000. That means 119,000 approximately, I would say, and then 19,000. So 138,000 euros of merchandise and a loss of a client was a huge depression point for anybody. When we, in fact, discussed the whole thing, he came to my office, he showed us all the evidences, what email came, who sent the email. We frankly told him that this is a cyber fraud case. We can take it for sure. It's a European company, and we see that they are at fault. Clearly, they're at fault because they did not follow the due diligence. They did not, and which is a normal thing people do in business, in international business, that when you change your bank account, there is a 3-step process, at least 2 steps. We follow 3 steps. What are the 3 steps? That the email for bank account change must be from the email address of the owner. And the person who receives the email have to make sure that the email address, every word of the email is same. There are no dots in between. There is no like A from E or I from L or whatever. Second, once you receive email, you have to call the buyer, the person who's going to pay. They have to call the owner who sent the email on their direct mobile number, which they should have. And the third, after the call, because you don't know who has picked up the call. Sometimes you can have a fake person calling up and confirming, yes, this is the same bank account. Or they might have hacked your systems and the email must have gone from genuine person. They need to send a WhatsApp from their phone number to our. So make sure that this is the third step. This company in Europe did not do anything. Surprisingly, I was literally surprised that how can they do such a big mistake of $84,000 transferred to an Italian company, which is same name as an Indian company, but bank account in Italy, and they're not even bothered about it. So we requested this guy that it's a very simple case. We would love to have this case. because our lawyers will be happy to have such a simple case to solve, but amount is very big for you, and we don't negotiate on our prices. Our lawyers will not go back and ask you for a small fee. They're going to charge you whatever we charge to everyone, because we don't know what is an integrity involved in this. And once you are giving us the case, and if we commit a smaller fee and eventually this case becomes bigger, and then we're also committed to recover the funds. So I told him we can only get involved, but maybe with only the advice he can get his money out. Last week, I had the information that the buyer receded, they surrendered. After so much of emails and exchange, they eventually agreed to pay 100% of their claim. That means they could figure out that it was a big mistake from the office. They're filing some cyber crime complaints in the Europe, which they will eventually get some refund or whatever, but they paid the exporter. And plus, they're very happy that supplier is retained. They have also placed new orders. So coming back to the whole story, he was at a loss of 138,000 euros plus the customer loss. Now he has recovered the entire amount of $138,000 plus the customer has placed new orders. So we're talking about a huge amount of sum of money, a business, a huge family, a big factory with a lot of people at the job saved because of the advices which he got from the FPA. He has promised us and committed to have a video testimonial for our services. Although we did not charge him anything, but he was so happy having that advice that he has committed to help us get more people and make his voice as our voice to make people understand that how genuine the services are with the federation. So that is one successful case we have solved. Second case, which recently is under pipeline right now, but I can tell you this is one of the successes in the terms that this again was a huge amount. It's around 185,000 euros or probably dollars, I think, stuck in again in a European country. This exporter was struggling to get the funds from these people from 2 years, almost 2 years, December 2021. And eventually he found out about us, a couple of people, and that's I thank all my exporter friends, associations, that whenever there is a payment recovery issue being discussed in the circle, they have some of them know that, oh, federation, you should call the legal desk, Lokesh or Bhavna, and they should be able to help you with your payment recovery. They have done it for many people. So we get a lot of word of mouth and referrals from our exporter friends. This guy called me and he said, I came to know that you can help me with recovery. Eventually, he filed the case, and we set up the lawyer. As I mentioned, our lawyers are all local in that country, so it is Italian company, and we have a lawyer in Italy. After a few weeks, we came to a conclusion: this company is going to be going down now. And with the hard work of the lawyer, the company relented that we can only pay 30% to settle, not more than that. We had a big fire and all those things. So although in our scenario, in our business, in our ethics and process, we do not give the settlement right to the exporter or the client. Once we sign the client, we are taking the settlement right and giving it to the lawyer, because lawyer is only getting paid after the recovery. So we have to trust somewhere to the lawyer that they will get the maximum recovery, and lawyers are putting the trust on us that if he gets a recovery, the exporter will not contest. Because what can happen and what can go wrong is that if you don't give the recovery settlement right to the lawyer, and they work on the case for, let's say, 6 to 8 weeks to maybe 2 months to around 6 months, and eventually they figure out that in this case itself, it happened that only 30% is recoverable. And if you don't agree as an exporter, the whole thing falls. So 6 months of working of a lawyer, which is highly professional legal lawyer on recovery, goes waste. Nobody is paying them. And so they will not be interested in taking any of the cases. So it's a very strict instruction we have done on our system and process. Settlement rights cannot be yours. Eventually, we told the exporter, because advocate, our lawyer, was humble enough to ask us ask him, although I can get 30% and I don't have to ask the exporter, but he still came back and said, okay, let's at least discuss with him. So I called the factory and told him that the company is not in good shape. They might be going away of going out of business, and they're saying we haven't done much business in the last 2 years. And he said, no, 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 that's not the case. I have people here, and they are still giving orders to factories. I said, maybe then if you are right and if they're wrong, how can we prove them wrong? We can prove them wrong only by giving evidences, because talks cannot solve the cases. We can blur anything from our mouth, but it has to have a paper trail. It has to have evidence. So why don't you go back and send us some latest POs from the factories, or get your custom data of what shipments have gone from India to this buyer? And on the side, we also asked our own sources in India to find out what exactly has been the business this buyer is doing with India. And we came to a conclusion. The fact came out that his last shipment was in December 2021, almost 2 years back, 1.5 year back. After that, he never bought from India. Yesterday, the exporter called me to say, yes, I have spoken to many people. You are right. The buyer is not in good shape. They're saying they might also wind down the business. Can you get me my 30% as fast as possible? As we said, we have been telling you this for almost like 2 weeks now. But you were literally, because it's your money and it's like $185,000. It's not a small amount, but now you know the reality. So please have trust on the lawyers. Please we are making sure that we have the right lawyers. You should have that trust. Or if you can't trust us, then probably you should hire your own lawyer, pay them a fee, and again, that relationship, that transaction will always be based on trust. You never know who you are giving the business to, are they trustworthy or not. So any transaction you do, any business relationship you do, it is based on trust. And so now I have told our lawyers to go ahead and extract maximum possible, maybe 30% or more or higher. But yes, so this is two examples of I can give you that reality itself is on the paper. You only have to be patient. You only have to look at it from the holistic view. We have hundreds of other cases. As I mentioned, we have done recoveries, smaller or large amount and small amount. There are certain recoveries also coming in installments. You will have a lot of videos on our YouTube channel on successful recovery. You should go through it. It's time now for me to leave, but I would definitely say subscribe to our channel, subscribe to and like our videos, comment on them, ask us questions, and do share, because it's not about we getting business from somebody's stuck payment. It's about somebody's stuck payment getting out, at least some of it, if not all, so that they can have a peace of mind and they can move forward and learn a lesson from there, get as much as possible from the bad deal, and grow their business. And that is where that makes us happy. At least some people have the clarity that this is what is there on the table, on the plate. Let's move on and make more money. Thank you very much for watching this, and I'll be humbly thankful if you have any comments, you have anything to ask, do share in the section, or you can email us. I'm going to share the calendar link also in the comment section for you. You can book a slot with me, and we can discuss whatever issues you have. Just at the end, I can give you a short introduction of myself. I am a 30+ years experience of cross-border international trade. I am a civil engineer by education. I finished my degree in civil engineering in 1993. It's exactly 30 years back, 30+ years now. Within a year, I did my export management diploma, and started supplying to local exporters, then became an exporter myself, then shifted to Canada. And then once I came back to India 20 years back, I started my sourcing agency to offer services to overseas clients. And after that, I've been also involved. I have an office in the US for 10 years now. It's a consulting firm where we bring a lot of business to factories. We set up their sales and distribution as a US brand, as a US entity. I help a lot of companies open up their US entities and start business. We have successful clients who refer. We already discussed payment recoveries and legal desk. That is somewhere we manage at the Federation, and my team, along with Bhavna, helps everyone. Personally, I'm also a consultant in export import. I run 9 meetups, three in India and six in the US cities. Close to 7,500 e-commerce and export import professionals are our members in the meetup. I'm an e-commerce consultant, and in this domain, I've entered 5 years back when I saw that this is the largest segment of customers growing and growing at a very fast pace than the wholesalers and retailers. So my focus turned on e-commerce. I am speaker at a lot of e-commerce conferences in the US. I spoke in the online seller cruise last year. I'm scheduled to speak in next one in January again in Miami. I spoke in Wizards of Ecom, Carlos Alvarez, which is the one of the largest meetup. I would say not one of them, but it is the largest meetup of e-commerce in the US. And a great friend, and he supports me a lot. I might be also scheduled to speak in Orlando at the Ecom Summit, and my talk will always be all about India buying or selling a product. So all the nuances which you can feel, your plus and your minus of what you can do in India if you are an e-commerce seller. Where are the opportunities for you to make money, whether you are trying to buy or you want to sell a product to the Indian consumer. That's all about me. More will be shared. We'll have hundreds of videos on our YouTube channel. Enjoy them. Leave us a comment. Thank you very much.